Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Timone Show. This is my guest for the day, Cory.
Peace, aka to the man or man to them. You know what I'm saying? So either way it goes, it's a progression.
We'll probably have some hot topics on this for you. We just got done discussing two-dimensional, three-dimensional planes crossing over in existences on reference to flat Earth
Flat Earth theory. And how motherfuckers play games with this shit. You know what I'm saying? That's my whole take on it. Don't play games with it. You feel what I'm saying? And what Big Bone Timone was talking about was the fact that you got a lot of people where this flat Earth shit is getting reintroduced, and you got certain people like celebrities, even like ball players, people that make a lot of money that are taking into this and promoting this. And these are people on platforms, you know what I'm saying? So whatever they say, because they're on the tube and they're in the eyes of the masses, they carry a lot of influence. And the masses, you know what I'm saying? Not to speak in the sense of they're dumbed down, but we are progressively getting dumbed down. If you do your research on fluoride in the water, fluoride in the toothpaste, and then what fluoride is and what fluoride does, just look up fluoride. You know what I'm saying? And you got a people that are constantly being exposed to that, and then being exposed to a new theory in a way, while being exposed to those indoctrinated methods, coming out saying or buying in to what's being said. That's what I'm basically saying, which is the flat Earth theory, and then taking it into a conceptual realness. You know what I'm saying? Thinking as if it's some Truman Show shit going on. You know what I'm saying? That's not the case. Truman Show does bear a lot of.
They do like to reference Truman Show a lot.
They do, but they're misrepresenting it though, or they're they're misreferencing it. You know what I'm saying? Which is the game. That's the game. But I can take the same referencing from
Facebook put us in Truman Show reality, just
to a degree, yeah.
I mean, but we're our own stars. Like we're stunting on ourselves, just like, or we're putting our own selves out there,
yeah.
Instead of a studio putting us out there without our knowledge or whatever.
Yeah.
But like we're just doing it to ourselves, like it's
or another shit, or also what the Truman Show, you know what I'm saying, puts out there is that how we're being put under this blind disguise of things are not what they seem. You know what I'm saying? Like what's the Truman Show?
Men in Black?
Not necessarily Men in Black, but just the fact of manipulation and control. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the Truman Show, the premise of the movie towards the end starts to reveal that Truman wasn't necessary. It was to a point where he was being controlled, but you realize it wasn't control, it was manipulation at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because if it was control, they would have been able to stop Truman from realizing the overall truth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so where that ties in,
they kept his free will, but they manipulated his free will through routine to where he just thought that's just how life is.
Yeah,
and
all that plays on the mind.
Yeah,
nothing physical. Though they gave him physical things to see to keep him docile enough to play along. And conceptually, we dealing with the same thing. You know what I'm saying? We are in a sense like the Truman Show, in the sense of we're given a lot of things, and in the sense of us being given these things from society, and this is all that we're given. This is all that our parents, you know what I'm saying, are telling us to take and and we're taking it and being given to us, to where as they go along, generation after generation, presenting this to us, we're just taking it and we're not questioning it anymore.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Tradition and societal norms.
Yeah. And so that's what it was with Truman.
Yeah.
Truman wasn't questioning shit out the gate.
Yeah.
But then began to question things in his physical mature state. You know what I'm saying? But you got people in this reality, you got that'll reach their physical mature state, adulthood, 18, 25, you know what I'm saying? and they still not questioning anything. So that's where the Hollywood and the movie part of it stops, because the reality is we are still buying in, and we're buying in after we're 18, after we're 21, after we're 50. Some of us, we bought all the way in till we died.
I think some
of it to come back, and you know what I'm saying.
I think some of it gets to a point.
Another form.
I think like some of it gets to a point, like, because I talk to a lot of people, like we all buy in, like we're like me and you, we both buy in, whatever, you know, like, and I think it's like I talk to a lot of people. I talk to a wide range of people, you know, and like a lot of people I know, dude, we have a broad sense of awareness. Like some of us have different. We're aware on different ideas, subjects, topics, whatever. But we all have a broad sense of awareness. So, and we're all aware that we're being fucked in society and with traditions, whatever, you know. And like with history, we're not taught real history. So like a lot of people know, like we know this, but I think it gets to the point where we either have a fear that we can't do anything about it, or it's too late to where we can do anything about it. Or like I don't know, man. It's like there could be a laziness effect. Or like, oh, what's the point, dude? Like, you know, what's the point if I teach my kid, because these 10 people are gonna teach their kids the bullshit. Well, I'm gonna teach my kids the truth, or what I think is the truth, or what I know to be the truth. And
that's all you're really supposed to do at the end of the day. Leave and keep it as simple and as natural as you can, because the more simple and the more natural you keep it, the more they'll be able to deal with how this society is bringing it in such a complex fashion, to where they'll be looking at it like, okay, because how it was taught to me was so natural. Yeah. Anything that comes at me with such complexity, I'll just automatically disregard it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's not even being real, because it's never really quite that complex. It's all quite simple. If you understand it as simple as you need to. Plain and simple, like I was just breaking down with the flat earth theory. You know what I'm saying? Like, point me out a flat star. Point me out a flat planet. You know what I'm saying? Because we can get under these telescopes and we can look and we can see. They can point me out a flat comet. And we can see that these celestial objects, all including the star included, are all rounded out. Like, you know, and then even things that are from a universal point all the way down to a micro universal point, because that's what we are. We're micro to these, you know what I'm saying, to these, you know, megalithic celestial structures. But even then, we still play a part in the circular aspect or the cycle aspect of it, meaning what? Like I was just talking about round planets, round stars. Well, you got round eye sockets. Yeah. You got on some jokers, you got round balls. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? The woman got round ovaries. You know what I'm saying? And then you got round cells. Breasts are round. And then you got the round cells in your body. Everything that I just named that's round plays a very key and important role in this universe.
So, all right, let me stop you there, because like I'm playing devil's advocate, because I'm open to the possibility of whatever, of the flat earth, whatever. I don't believe it. I don't disbelieve it. But,
play with it.
So a lot of them touch on the system of control, whatever. They want you to think this is a ball. And that we're spinning all these degrees, and that we're microscopic to the universe, whatever, to make us feel like that we're nothing, that we're not important, we're not shit into the universe. Right. So then the flat earthers will come out and bring out like, nah, dude, like the sun and the moon rotate on the center axis around Polaris, and we are the center of the universe as far as we know. Like we can't break into space. Like a lot of them will believe. They'll talk about the satellites aren't real. The people talk about like, well, you can see a satellite, and I'm calling bullshit on that. There's no way you can see a satellite, because you can barely see a 747 when it's in the air, just like a mile or whatever.
And that's one of the ones that can fly the highest within the atmosphere.
And a satellite's about the size of a city bus or school bus, right? Yeah, and the motherfuckers talking about they can see a satellite from the ground. Get the fuck out of here! You can barely see a fucking airplane, which is much bigger than a satellite, and it's much lower to the ground than the satellites are. There ain't no way you can see the satellites, you know, from the ground. People talk about they can. I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. No. Unless they're talking about, telescopes again. Yeah. But even then, you're going to see, you know what I'm saying, behind that satellite, the round-ass moon, or a round-ass planet Venus or Mars. Like in the daytime, I don't know what planet that is. They're trying to say it's Venus or whatever that you can see. It's a planet you can see in the daytime. You just look into the sky. And even then, you can see, and it's only half of that planet. It's not the full of it. But even half of it, you can see that it's rounded out. Now, I don't know what they're going to, within the flat earth people, within what they're going to say. Oh, well, that's just, within our flat earth dome, that's just like, like television. They just put that image there. They'll bullshit. You know what I'm saying? But again, why so much play on things that are around then? You know what I'm saying? And like I said, maybe trying to get you to look at it in a layer format, because this 3D reality is based on like an onion. It's based on layers and levels. You understand what I'm saying? And each one correlating and connecting to another to play a big overall prominent role, which is what? Which is cycles, which is everything revolving and continuously evolving. It's how the seasons constantly change. You have to deal with that as flat earth people, because most of the flat earth people are also saying, like, if that's the case, then we're just one big giant experiment and we're big in a giant test tube. Well, then you have to deal with then you have to deal with the fact that if that's true, then where do we get the seasons? And I know some of them will be like, oh, the harp. But you can look up the information for the harp.
We didn't always have the harp.
We didn't always have a harp. The harp actually got a date and time when it was existed. So what other form when we were still dealing with these changes of the seasons in certain parts of the planet? Now, mind you, there are parts of the planet where we don't experience the changes of the season, where it's just hot. But that's idealistically have to do with the equator, where they talk about, the hottest point of the planet is along the equator line. You know what I'm saying? And even then, that in itself should crush the flat earth theory, because when you get to the equator line, why is it so intensely hot there than in other parts of the regions of the planet? And then why don't you experience different weather changes even there? You experience atmospherical changes, but not weather changes. Right. You know what I'm saying? And so that alone right there should put a question in the flat earth theory people's mind. You know what I'm saying? As to, okay, that has to do with something externally outside of this planet sending a type of wave or an energy towards it. You know what I'm saying? It can't be because we're under some big ass lamplight. You know what I'm saying? Right. And if so, how are they able to concentrate all of that energy all the way around the planet? Because it's hot on the equator all the way around the circumference of the planet. I'm down in Mexico. I can call somebody down over in China, somebody over on the equator line in Japan. They gonna say it's just as hot. It's hot. It's hot in the motherfucker right here too, buddy. That's exactly what they're gonna say. And so, with that being said, you got to deal with that, because that right there should prove to you that the planet is revolving. It has to be revolving. You know what I'm saying? There's a type of friction there, and there's a type of
Dude, the deserts and shit are like around the Sahara where the equator and shit is. That shit's like freezing cold at night.
Yeah, it's freezing cold. But that's because the sun's no longer
exact. So what I'm saying, if you're calling a buddy from Mexico all the way to Japan, whatever side it's nighttime on is gonna be cold as fuck.
Yeah. Not cold as fuck, but cold, because things more towards the equator line, it's still hot.
It's not gonna be Arctic, Antarctic cold.
No, it's
gonna be like. It'll be like, let's say it's like 120 degrees there during the day or whatever. It'll be like half that. It'll be like 60 at night. Yeah. To them, they'll be like, boo, To us, we're like, oh, yeah, that's nice.
I mean, pull somebody out of Alaska and out of Greenland and put them over there at night on the equator line in the desert. They're going to be like, shit, I still need to take some of this shit off. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because you know what I'm saying? It's based on also biologically as a human being where you are and what you can handle. You know what I'm saying? So, just a quick wrap up. Show me something that's not in this universe that's not round. You know what I'm saying? To where the flat earth theory carries the kind of resonance that it's carrying right now. Because it's carrying a lot of resonance with a lot of people. A lot of people are buying into it.
We can't freely explore the universe.
That's true. It's like right around there.
We can't freely explore the universe. We got
You can't explore it from one simple thing.
The universe is
your
designed.
eyes.
The universe is exactly, and that's what flat earthers use is perspective and perception. So
but they're using their perception.
The universe, in the scientific method, the universe is designed to not make any sense. It's designed to be a mystery. You know, like so
It's been designed.
so what they did, I'm proposing is they did what they studied the body. They studied our nuclei and how our cells or whatever revolve and rotate around each other and all that shit.
And even then, that's got to be circular. That's not square.
So they designed the universe off of our human body.
Yeah.
Thinking it's the same, you know. Well, that's how that shit works. That's gotta how be the galaxies work and all that stuff. But what if that's not even the case, dude? What if that's just all theory and speculation? You know, like what if that's not? What if that's just heresy?
Some of that,
and so, but they and they were there was a point in the science community where they were at such a crossroads to what we're living on or what's going on in the world, where they didn't have something concrete to go on. Yeah. So they just ran with something, and then since that's what they ran with, they have to stick running with that, because the Earth has only been around for 500 years since Copernicus and shit. You know what I'm saying? The Earth has only been around for 500 years. Before that, it was always flat. You know, like, but
yeah, you talking about the idealistic conceptual understanding of Earth.
Yeah, I'm talking about the broad understanding of what people thought or whatever. All right. You
know, now, when you talk about people, you're talking about a particular people. But another particular people like the Dogon, who is a tribe that still exists to this day, have always been aware of and have always attested to celestial objects outside of this planet and have paid homage to it. And only time you can pay respect to something is if you duplicate it. That's like a famous R&B singer. Yeah. To pay respect to him, a lot of times you'll do what? If you can sing their song as well, you'll do the cover to it. That's the biggest compliment you can pay to something.
Or you can like say a line from that song or whatever.
A line from that song. Yeah, now back to what I'm saying. Like these collective people, you know what I'm saying? They didn't, obviously, you know, in that time you didn't have no singers or nothing like that. So you had only what was natural to nature. You had what was in nature, you know what I'm saying, to look up to and to be inspired by, right? Back to what you was just saying earlier when you said everything is science. Understand something. The word science in itself didn't always even exist. That term, that word. So what was science? What was the word for science before it was called science? Nature. Why do I say that? Because if you look up the definition of science, it says everything that happens within nature. Right? Well, who's all within nature? Us. You know what I'm saying? Along with everything with us. All the matter and material and so on and so forth. So with all of that being said, before we was even dealing with that term science, we was dealing with nature. And we were inspired by nature as well as we were inspired by science still now. You know what I'm saying? We just took the name and added on the name like science and we just ran with it still. But even then, it's still inspiring. You know what I'm saying? So when you say the idealistic understanding of the Earth was here only for 500 years and all that from Copernicus and all of that, well, that was Copernicus back in that timeline playing games because the Dogon still existed and they wasn't running with that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? They was running with more or less the fact of the planet is round. The planet, you know what I'm saying, and the stars, you know what I'm saying, we correspond with them. Matter of fact, even going to Kemet, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Kemet, for some of you people who don't understand what that is, from the descendancy of what our people call Egypt, we call it Kemet. You speed it up, it says Comet, right? Comet is a celestial object, right? But we're here living on planet Earth, which originally called Terra. You know what I'm saying? Or terrestris. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And on this terra plane, as we look up, you know what I'm saying? We still saw things. And like I said, we didn't have like the celebrities and a lot of the things that we are following now trend wise. You know what I'm saying? We trended on what was only in nature and we trended on everything on this earthly plane to the fullest understanding. So the only thing that was left was, you know what I'm saying? To watch that. And the reason why this whole beginning civilization, which they say Egypt was, it was the beginning of civilization. Even that nigga Copernicus say that. You know what I'm saying? In the beginning of this civilization, what made these people so great is not the fact of all the innovative things that they've done to progress their society and their civilization. It was the fact that they understood things on a universal level. How do I know this? What's my proof to this? They didn't even name themselves after something on this physical plane or on terrestrials. They was named after something celestial, comet. You know what I'm saying? Because if you speed comet up, it's comet. So again, these were collective people that were naming themselves after something not even from this planet to show that we understand planetary order and how it's in the order that it's moving in and how it works. You know what I'm saying? And we move now in accordance with that. So it was just an understanding of universal order and how it works and how it moves about. This is why
I think that
Kemet plays such a prominent role on the planet, because it got people to look up into the skies and understand what was going on, instead of taking it in the sense of where Copernicus and his descendants and a lot of people that come and follow his teachings do, which is putting things like, you know what I'm saying, as well as him saying the earth being 500 years old, putting things like, Cupid with wings and
no, he didn't say that. I'm just saying that's when he started saying that.
That's what he started saying. But that was based on what he knew.
But right now,
what his people knew.
Right now, you got scientists. You got astronauts that can't agree on what space looks like. You got scientists that can't agree on what the shape of the Earth is. Like, because you got Neil deGrasse Tyson, the world's most famous astrophysicist right now, right?
Right.
He's talking about the fucking Earth being an oblate spheroid, talking about it's wider underneath the equator than where it is at the equator, so it's almost like it's pear-shaped slightly, you know?
Yeah. But
then you got the NASA photos. You always have the NASA photos that come out every 2 years showing a perfect fucking sphere.
Yeah.
But then you got the continents aren't even the same size every time. Like in 2012, America was big as fuck, and in 2015, it's small.
Yeah.
You know,
well, that right there, you got to deal with Peter's projection. All right. Peter's projection is something bigger than what it is. You know what I'm saying? And
Peter's projection is the most accurate projection map for navigational patterns.
Yeah.
Besides the one,
because it gives
the flat Earth model,
it gives the measurement of the land mass. And then quick to speak on you about the Earth being a pear. For one, the Earth is not a perfect circle. There's not anything in this universe that's perfectly sphered out, even a star. You know what I'm saying? But the fact that it's rounded out is the fact that it's a working progress towards a perfect circle. You know what I'm saying? Towards perfection. There's a difference between perfect and perfection.
No, but
you know what I'm saying? Perfection means striving towards, but not quite ever achieving perfect.
Think about,
you know what I'm saying? The Earth itself, when the NASA people saw the picture, they probably made it out to look like a sphere, and depending on how far back the lens was,
they just Photoshop all the shit.
Photoshop it and shape it up. Either way it go, but the ideal was to make it seem like it was perfect.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But nothing's perfect. The Earth is not perfect. This is why the Earth is constantly changing. It's perfecting itself. It's not perfect. You know what I'm saying?
What if it's the other way around? What if it was perfectly round, and then think of pizza dough. Like, we got a perfectly round ball, and then we start spinning it.
Right.
So the Earth spins at like thousands of miles an hour or whatever, right? So you start spinning, it starts to flatten out. So what if the Earth is doing that? Like, that's the point of it's starting to get wider underneath the equator, because now it's starting to stretch now.
Well, that's the point of what I mean when I'm speaking to perfection, and you're right about that. If it does spin like we say, and we are dealing with a secular sphere of some sort spinning, then yeah, it will cause a lot of contraction and contracting, just like a woman's belly.
Yeah.
Like a lot of contracting at the equator, and expanding then. But it would, if I'm saying contracting, I mean expanding out, but also contracting in. Mm-hmm. It's back and forth. Only thing that can do that in that form is water. So we're not dealing with a perfect circle, but then we are dealing with something working toward perfection, because honestly, there ain't nothing more perfect than water. Why do I say that? Because if you pour water into the glass, it perfectly forms to the shape of that glass. You pour water into anything, it perfectly forms to that. Now we have water all on the face of this planet and on the spinning planet, like you just said. So if it's spinning, the water itself is going to form, you know what I'm saying, in a way complementing what is putting force around it to form and be. And the force that's causing the water to round off into the planet to make it look round is gravity. You know what I'm saying? And the gravity due to the force of the spinning.
So you got a
that right there crushes the flat Earth too. That's another one. Bam, another shot.
So
you
got a force that's so strong that holds the water onto the land, that holds everything in.
But the water's still moving water.
But it can't hold down a fucking butterfly or a mosquito or a motherfucking, it can't push that shit down
because of the atmosphere, because of the water. See, you understand water as just being the liquid that's moving along, you know what I'm saying, these oceans and things like that. But water is also on all levels. It's like an onion, man. You got the actual ocean water, but then you got the atmospherical water from which rain comes from. Because really, and ladies and gentlemen, for those who actually went to school and went to the science classes, you know what I'm saying, this will be easy for you to understand. For those who did not, let me explain. You know what I'm saying? Just like how it rains, back to what I was saying on that. That water has to come from somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Where does that water come from? It comes from the sky, but it also comes from the fact that it's a circular motion going on between the surface and the sky. I can't say the land because we're talking about how rain comes about, and it's a cycle. It's a cycle, and the cycle of what it is the wind and air. You know what I'm saying? But even air is made out of H2O. You know what I'm saying?
Water is H2O. But water has oxygen in it.
Water has oxygen in it, and they can bond. Now, this is back to chemistry. And so because of how water can be carried, you know what I'm saying, onto air, and how... Hush your mouth. Get in the corner. On the stairs. You got it. So like how water, you know what I'm saying, is carried back up into the air, and it's carried in a particle form. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And again, particles ain't squares like Minecraft. Particles are round. You know what I'm saying? Just like atoms and so on and so forth.
Well,
and that has been seen with microscope. You know what I'm saying?
The flat Earth is still round, but round like a dinner plate. You know what I'm saying? And then Antarctica wraps around the North Pole is the center of the Earth, and then everything else branches out from there. And the model makes sense. I looked at it. It makes sense. And then they'll bring
in a lot of work to make it make sense.
The UN has it as their logo. Has the flat Earth model as their logo and like on their flags and shit, dude.
Because of what they want you to commercially buy into.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you buy into that, then you've domesticated yourself to more not to ask questions or not to question anything as more things come into question, to be in question. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But if you look up to how rain comes about, which is formed from a cloud carrying so much of certain
what you're talking about right now is also going to counteract because there's a lot of flat earthers are also Bible literalists or whatever. They'll talk they'll talk about how the Bible and how it's actual fact or whatever, with the four pillars holding up the earth, the firmament that's basically we're in a snow globe, whatever. That separates outer space is full of water, whatever. That's the firmament separates us from the water. That is outer space.
But that's a good analogy, though. But back to what I'm saying,
because the clouds is the firmament that separates the waters from the waters. You know.
Yeah, but it's still waters in between all of that.
Not some sort of impenetrable glass fucking shield.
Yeah, you know, and it's still waters in between that. It's just certain levels of water. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because when on a hot, humid day,
you can feel the water in the air.
You can feel the water in the air. You know what I'm saying? And this is why, you know what I'm saying, when you sweat, that sweat continues. This is what it causes, for one, your body to continuously bring on sweat. You know what I'm saying? And then dries up really quickly. I mean, not dry up, but turns into a vapor. Another form of water. Yeah. So that's what atmosphere is. It's just another form of water, because if you build up enough of those vapors, you form a type of vapor cloud. That vapor cloud builds up more to a super vapor cloud. It can only hold those vapors so long because these vapors are turning now, are accumulating into each other so much so to where it creates water again, but it's creating it in a different place. So in a different place, you gotta. This is me basically saying you have an ocean above you just as much as you have an ocean below. Uh, and to go into those biblical sayings, because one of those biblical, and actually it's not a biblical saying what I'm saying, because this statement that I'm finna state is well past.
You're bringing this in the
as below, so it is below.
Yeah.
That's the ancient saying that I'm saying, and that's not in any biblical text because it's older than any biblical text. This is something that was taught and spoken of from those who were from Comet. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of their teachings are based on things within the universe in a universal order. You know what I'm saying? That correlated with it. They understood that a lot of things that happen above happens below, and the goal to it was us, the human, in the middle of that, bridging that connection and that understanding. You know what I'm saying? Bringing it to a level of how we understand it, how we are to work within it. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
To make sure that it continues to work, because we are the guardians and the tillers. You know, they say the tillers of the earth. Now, that's a biblical thing, but of the earths, not just of this particular earth, because that's another thing most flat earth people would play on. Just like they plan on that term center, the center, the center. They like to make it seem like this is the only thing that's going on.
This is the only thing that exists.
And this is the only thing worth being maintained, we maintain, or that maintains itself. That's not true. You know what I'm saying? Everything is maintaining itself in its own way. You know what I'm saying? Based on the level of where it's at the moment. Because, like I said with an onion, there are layers and there are levels to this shit. You know what I'm saying? When that properly understood, you know what I'm saying, then now you can have the ability, when you understand that, to find and level yourself up within it. Now you can, when you understand that there are levels to this, now you can like, okay, now because I understand levels and I see where I'm at level wise, now I can decide to go up or go down.
All right.
Go P.
All right, I don't want to cut you off, but we're gonna wrap this up right here. I want to continue this. I want to do a part 2 of this. I'm gonna film it right now, but we're gonna air it the next week. But we'll cut you off. Thanks again, Cory, for having me come over to do this.
Most definitely. Peace, family.
So I'm gonna start filming part 2 right now. See you guys next week.